Welcome to the Unfazed Podcast. I'm your host, Osity Oboa, and today, I have a very, very special guest that I've been excited and anticipating to have on the podcast for a good amount of time. I'm very grateful to have him on today, Jordan Ferrone. He is a TikToker, YouTuber, and he just does like motivation videos. You probably seen him on your For You page before. He does ice baths, and he's been doing them for about how many days now? Like 100. Today was day 169.
You got it.
For
Yes, sir.
sure. And welcome to the Unfaced Podcast, bro. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime, bro. It's a pleasure. It's amazing. I'm grateful. First question I have for you, bro, is how did you get into doing ice baths and posting them on social media and doing like the daily motivation stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think to answer that question, it kind of came in two parts, right? Like the first part was making a decision that I was gonna get into the ice bath. That was one. I mean, the motivational thing really, didn't come until, a couple weeks, maybe a month into
Mm-hmm.
into the journey.
Mm-hmm.
But the first part of the question, like I've been doing cold exposure, getting into a cold shower for probably about the last, I would say close to 5 years
That's dope.
before I made the decision that I was gonna do the ice bath thing. But I wasn't really ever like consistent with it. I'd go to the gym, and if I felt like it, I'd take a cold shower. Sometimes I'd do it here at home, if I really like wanted to force myself, but I was never really like super consistent with it. But I knew it. I knew that I could do it, and I knew that it felt good, after I did it. But it was never really something that I was consistent in doing. And so I made that decision in December of last year, so December 2022, that I
Mm-hmm.
was just gonna, try these ice bath things. So I went out and bought one, and the rest is kind of history. So, yeah, the motivation part of it for me, was just kind of the journey and the path that I took, in creating content. I never really, had envisioned that it would kind of turn into what it's turned into. I'm
Mm-hmm.
super grateful for it. I don't really know how it happened, but I just made the decision that I was going to kind of speak what's on my mind and try to really inspire some people to you know not really care what other people think and get outside their comfort zone and really tap into a different part of themselves. And that's really been kind of my passion, I'd say, probably for the last like 150 plus days. So it's been cool.
Yeah, that's dope. That's crazy, bro. Like, so it just kind of just came on to play. You didn't really expect it. It just kind of all happened, and it's all positive. It's all good, and it just happened just like that.
Yeah, like if you go look at my my earlier content, even the first day, would be a good
Mm-hmm.
example. Like I didn't say anything. It was just me, getting into an ice bath. There was some music playing over top, but I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even able to really think, let alone speak. In those early days, just trying to survive. I think my goal for like the first day was, can I last like 30 seconds? Can I last 1 minute? Like how long can I last out here? And I really didn't
Mm-hmm.
have anything to say. It was tough to think. And then I think maybe, after a couple days, I started playing like these other motivational sounds over top of my video. I was still getting in the ice bath. I wasn't saying anything, and it would just be like this sound that I would play.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how it started. I really just wanted to make content, for somebody who was feeling the way I was feeling, who maybe has gone through some of the same things that I've gone through, and be really just a voice for kind of like myself when I was younger, when I didn't have it. And so that's really where what inspired me to just say, okay, like, screw it. I'm not just gonna play these sounds. I'm gonna, make my own sound. I'm gonna say what's on my mind, and I think that's really kind of where, the traction kind of, you know, took off to another level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes sense, but that's tough. Yeah, I really like that because like I remember I think I've been keeping up with you since about I think maybe like day 20, in like the 20s, 30s,
Oh, you're an
and just
OG
seeing your
then.
growth. Yeah, I'm an OG with the videos, bro. Cause I remember I discovered you just on TikTok. It was on I think maybe like day, yeah, like mid 20s, mid 30s, something like that. And now we at day 169. I was just watching your video earlier. Day 169, and what's crazy is another thing I want to talk about. A lot of people thought that you were gonna stop at 100, and you kept going. Like it's like you were like, I'm not gonna stop. And I remember you did something special for day 100. You went to the Detroit Lions Stadium and did your ice bath there. What was that like?
Oh man, it was such a cool experience. I've been a fan of the Lions since I was young, man. I can remember going, with my dad on Thanksgiving Day, watching the Lions play the Cowboys. I think it was like in maybe '93, and Barry Sanders was playing. Man, it was just a cool experience, and I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
really drew me to the game, drew me to the team. So I've been a fan for quite some time, and just going back there to where I'm from and being able to experience that with the team and be able to see tour that facility and meet some of the players. It was just
That's
super
dope.
super cool experience to kind of tie it all together. Since I
That's
started
really
that
cool.
journey after 100 days.
Yeah. Which players did you meet on the Lions?
Jared Goff was in there, just working out.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't really get to meet him, but
Mm-hmm.
we kind of just like saw him through. Saw him through the team room. Got to meet Aiden Hutchinson, who's up and coming, superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Chatted up with him for a little bit, and I think there were a couple other players, maybe some like practice squad players who were in there, who I dabbed
Yeah.
up and shook hands with, but not much other than a conversation. Got to meet some of the training staff and some of the coaches, and obviously some folks from the media team too, who helped tour me around. So it was just it
That's
was a weird
fine.
time. It was kind of like during free agency, and obviously during the off
Mm-hmm.
season. So there wasn't a ton of people around, but they're still super cool to see.
Yeah, that's really dope, bro. So another thing I want to ask you is, you said you've been doing like cold exposure, like start off with like cold showers after the gym and stuff like that. Cold exposure is something that is really gaining a lot of more popularity within the past like year or so, and a lot of people are starting to do ice baths, cold showers, stuff like that. What results have you seen within like your health and your body, within cold exposure and doing these ice baths for 150 plus days?
Yeah, you know what? For me, I really just started it from a place of like I wasn't feeling like myself. I was feeling, you know, some anxiety. I was feeling some depression. I was feeling, some stress from just life, and I knew
Mm-hmm.
that I needed to kind of, make a change in my routine. I needed, really, and if you know me, I really kind of like to play on the extremes. Like it's for me, it's really like all or nothing. And so I thought this was a good way to kind of like um, not only test me physically, but test me mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it, man. I liked how it made me feel. I liked the fear that comes with like not wanting to do it, but still being able to persevere through it and do it, and then come out of it the other side and just be like, I told you I could do it. And that's just a conversation that you have internally with yourself, right? Because a lot of people won't
Mm-hmm.
won't go down that path. A lot of people won't really tap into that other part of who they are, just out of fear of a lot of things, right? Like fear of pain, fear of what other people might think about them,
Mm-hmm.
fear of the unknown. And so I think that's kind of been really a driving force for me in doing this, is like you can prove to the world, and most importantly you can prove to yourself that you aren't the things that you think about. You can think that the world's going to end. You can think that what's right in front of you is impossible, and you could still step up and take actions towards it, and really prove to yourself that it's really not that bad. So that's really where it came from for me. But to answer your
Mm-hmm.
question, like in terms of the benefits, I don't love talking about benefits, to be honest. Everyone who goes through cold exposure has their own journey, and everyone's different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sit here and preach to you that it's going to change your life.
That's real.
If it's certainly going to make you feel better. for whatever you're going through, typically, if you've got some issues mentally that you're trying to overcome, the reason it will help with that is because it's hard to think of those things when you're sitting in cold water, whether it's an ice bath or a cold shower. Like, I know you're young and you're still in school, but if you're stressed about a test, if you're stressed about a game that you're about to play, if you don't like your boss and you don't like your job, and you've got some issues with some relationships that you have, like, it's hard to think about those things when cold water is all over your body. And so you just kind of are forced to just sit there and think about, how am I going to survive this? And so, just like the gym, for people who like to go to the gym, it's really just an escape. But it also allows you to stack your confidence and be able to prove to yourself that no matter how bad you think that it's going to be, you could still do it.
That's real. That's real. I really like that. 100%. Like, a lot of times it's just a mental battle, especially with the cold exposure and the ice baths. Like, and it's just fear, like what you're saying, fear of the unknown, fear of what other people think, fear of feeling uncomfortable. But it's really just leaning into that and just, like, it's helpful. It's helpful mentally. It probably makes you stronger mentally and stuff like that. I mean, that's what's special about it. Everybody has their own journey with it, so you can't really speak about the benefits, but it's really like, what has this personally done for me in that type of way. I like that. I love. How do you stay consistent with it? Like, how do you, like, for the past, like, cause I know some people, it's like even me, I'm trying to get back into doing is taking cold showers and ice baths and stuff like that. But I remember the first time I took one, it was about like a month or two ago. I took one cold shower. I was in there for about like a few minutes. Like, it was like, okay, let me do like 30 seconds. Okay, see how I feel. Step up to a minute, see how I feel. A minute 30, stuff like that. Just keep on going up and up. And then it got to like the first or second time I did it, I was like, yo, I can't do this, bro. Like, I was like, this is too much. But I had to just take some time and just realize I gotta lean into it. I'm going to feel uncomfortable. It's something I'm gonna have to lean into and get used to. But how do you stay consistent with it? Because a lot of people give up within the first few days of doing
it. That's a good question, man. That's just kind of part of my DNA. That's who I am. I don't. And it's not to say I've always been like that, man. I'll be honest. Like, I'm not a robot. I've definitely, started things before and stopped them just because I didn't want to. I felt uncomfortable. I was lazy. Whatever the excuse was, I had it. But for me, this is a little bit different, man. It's a little bit deeper. I've got a purpose that I'm trying to fulfill, not only in myself, but I want to instill some confidence and some inspiration in others. And most importantly, I've got two kids who, look up to me. And so I think this is a good example for them, to be able to look back on and, in many years. And it's kind of like, a diary of what their dad has done. So I think that's special. But yeah, man, to be able to stay consistent, like, there's no doubt that I've had many days, even this morning, like, I'm thinking as I'm putting my swimsuit on, that, like, I don't want to do this. And, when is this going to stop? But I know those are just thoughts in my head that my brain is trying to trick me to try to just go back to being comfortable, like, just go back and just chill, like, you've done enough, like, this is, we don't have to do this anymore. And so I try to just, like I said, I try to separate myself from those thoughts, because I know that in my heart and my soul, that's not who I really am. So once you can, separate those two parts of your brain, where one is telling you just, like, it's uncomfortable, just chill, like, you don't have to do that, to, what I want to be able to leave out there as part of my legacy, that voice is just a lot louder. It's just, there's two voices in my head, and the one that is aligned with, my heart and my soul is louder right now. And that's not always the case for people, like you said, for yourself, man. And even for me, in many times before, when I've, tried something and stopped it, like, it's because that other voice was able to get louder than what was aligned with my true passion and my true why. And so I think the more you do it, the more you can stack, consistent habits. You can stack that confidence within yourself. that voice that tells you to just, stay comfortable and just chill starts to get quieter and quieter and quieter. But the more you give into it, the more you start to listen. Like, maybe I can take a day off today. Maybe I can just take 2 days off. Like, that voice starts to get louder, louder, louder until the point where you just stop. So I try to just, I've trained myself to just block out that noise and just, not listen to that voice, because it's not going to serve me in the long run.
That's true. It's mental. It's a mental battle for sure.
It's all life is, brother. That's all it is, man. It's all mental.
That's true.
Right? I mean,
That's real.
if you get to a point in your life where you realize that you really can do anything, and that's, that may seem, like it's not true, and in some cases it isn't. Like, I'm never going to play in the NBA. Like, I'm not LeBron James. I'm never going to score 10,000 points in the National Basketball League. But I can do things that my mind is telling me that I can't. And so,
That's real.
whatever that is in your life, as long as you try, you'll be able to see things within yourself that you never knew you had in you.
Hmm. That's true. Do you think, compared to day one, do you think you would have made it this far with it?
No, no, not at all. Like, to be honest, when I started, it was like, I think it was like December 11th or December 12th. I was like, let me just do this. Let me do this until Christmas. Like, let me see if I can do this for like 10 or 12 days. And
Hmm.
then, I think, really, to be honest, like, it really only took that first day. And I was like, I think, like, I don't think there's anything that's really going to stop me from doing this unless I stop me from doing this. And
Right.
so once I got to day 10, it was almost like it was already written that I was going to do 100.
Hmm.
Um, and I think, and then when I got to 100, I just made the decision that I wasn't going to stop. I was going to go, and try to do it for 365 days. Um, and that's
Hmm.
kind of where I'm at right now, man. I don't like to think about the future too much, because then that voice starts to creep in, like, what are you doing this for? When is this going to end? How is this going to end? When are you going to stop? And so I just, think about, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And, as long as I can stack a whole bunch of tomorrows on top of each other, we'll get to where we need to go.
Hmm. That's where you headed in the right direction, but I'd love to see it a full 365, but also just living in the present. You know what I'm saying? Day by day. Not looking in the future too much. Like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do a few months from now, but it's just gonna be like, okay, I did this today. Now what's next? We gonna focus on today, and then when tomorrow comes, we gonna work with tomorrow. Stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a trap that a lot of people fall into, is like thinking too far ahead into the future of like what could happen and what might happen, of things
Hmm.
that, in all likelihood won't ever even happen. And so, we start to overthink and overanalyze things. And if you just break it down into like its most simplest form, like, what can I do today? What can I do this next hour, that's going to align with who I say I want to be? Um, you're going to get a lot further than if you start to, overthink and overplan for things that are just way too far down the road. You'll talk yourself out of a lot more things that way.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true. Something I also want to talk about is something that kind of ties into this. To what we just talked about. Today's message, day 169 of doing the ice baths. You're talking about, it's okay to make mistakes. It's just a part of life, and forgiving yourself, letting go, continuing to move forward. How do you get these messages on a daily basis that help people and motivate people to just be their best selves every day?
I get it from a lot of different places. This is nothing that I invented. Like, these messages have been said before. I'll get it from books that I read, from
Hmm.
posts that I see on social, or just experiences that I've been through. So I draw um, my inspiration from a lot of different places. But I try to make it align with who I am and things that I've been through. Like, nothing I've said is, or maybe I should say it this way: everything I've said has been something that I've lived before myself. And so,
Hmm.
specifically today's message is like, I made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I'm sure I'll make a lot more mistakes before my time's up here. But that doesn't mean that it's gonna Um, it's got to break me. It's got to stop me from, doing what I want to do and being who I want to be. So as long as you can acknowledge that, be patient with yourself, and still move forward, you're going to accomplish a lot more than you ever thought you would if you can just, still put one foot in front of the other.
Man, that's facts. That's facts. It's facts. It's, and your experience and just your knowledge and wisdom is just it's on a different level, and I see that within just in you and throughout your content as well and what you're doing, because you helped me, inspired me, and hundreds of thousands of millions of other people as well. Like with your platform, it's nothing I want to speak about. You have over 1 million followers on TikTok. I think like 1.4 million, and then you got 313,000 followers on Instagram, and you just posting your content every day. What's it mean to you to have that platform and being able to build on that and inspire people and motivate others?
It, dude, it's really hard for me to wrap my head around that. It's something I don't take for granted. I've been blessed with a lot of opportunities, since starting this and kind of gaining that traction. But I'm still the same guy. Like, I started this thing. I think I had 400 followers on Instagram, maybe 900 or 1,000 followers on TikTok. So like, it's really
Mm-hmm.
um, it's really been cool to see, um, to prove to myself that I can do it. And it's not like
Right.
it's something that I've ever aspired to do. Like I never, woke up one day and said, I want to get 1 million followers on TikTok. It's just something that kind of organically happened. As grateful as I am for it, it doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. Like it doesn't, make me feel different. It doesn't make me act different.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just a number, in an
Mm-hmm.
app that can easily go away tomorrow. So, it's not something that I need to, um, scream on the top of the roof to everybody else, like, look where I'm at, because
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't always like this, and
That's real.
I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that I'm able to connect with as many people, including yourself, who I've been able to connect with over the last few months. I've had some really cool partnerships with some businesses, that have aligned with kind of my vision.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know what? That number doesn't mean a whole lot to me. It just means that, um, I can my message can reach a lot more ears, and that's really all I want to do.
Yeah, that's real. Just your journey is it's crazy, bruh. It's crazy. I'm glad I've been able to be with you and follow your journey since like the first 2 3 weeks, 2 3 4 weeks of it. It's a blessing, just having a platform and just not just being grateful for it and not taking it for granted, but also being like, yo, I'm just glad that I'm able to just reach people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a number at the end of the day, and it can be taken away at any second. You know what I'm saying? As quickly as it was given to me, it can just as quickly as it can be taken. But just remaining humble and just that mindset is good.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
with
it's
that.
it's it, it you know I'm not a celebrity, I'm not famous, I'm none of that stuff. I haven't won a championship, I don't play for a professional sports team. Like, I'm a nobody, and so why should I hold that, um, above anybody else's head, like I'm on another level. When I was right there, only a few months ago. So,
Right.
yeah, it's really nothing, to me, as like hard it is as hard as it is to still wrap my head around that. Um, those are the numbers, and it's just I'm still the same guy.
Yeah, it's a blessing, but it's good to keep that mindset. Like, nah, because a lot of people they get that platform and they go Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? They kind of just like, well, yeah, I'm on this level, I'm like that, and they kind of just leave. Like they kind of forget where they are. and stuff like that. But having that humble mindset, that's a big part of your platform, and I like that. And I appreciate that when it comes to content creators.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Most
that.
definitely. And of course. Any one other thing I have to ask you is if you could sit down and like anybody that like maybe you find inspiration from, either whether it's your family, celebrity, or maybe like an author of a book you've read, anybody you could sit down with and have a one-on-one conversation with and be like, ask them a few questions on like maybe how they did something, or questions you have. Well, who would it be and why?
Hmm. That's a good question, man. I never really thought about that. I think, a typical answer would be, for me, just given the platform that I have and the type of content that I make, like I would probably want to, sit down with somebody like David Goggins, who's been a huge
Oh yeah.
inspiration in my life for the things that he's done and things that he's achieved. Um, but I would probably go a different route right now if you ask me, and I would say I probably want to just sit down with my grandpa, because he isn't here anymore. And so to have that time back with him, and to maybe ask him some of those questions that now I'm a little bit older, maybe I'm a little bit more mature, that I'd never asked him before. I probably want to do that over anything else.
That's real. I send my condolences to you as well, my brother, and that's just real. And that's on a personal level as well. A lot of people, like, it's just like, they look up to a lot of people that's like a celebrity or well known, but it's not just the well known people that got the wisdom and stuff like that. Like people like you, like how you just talking about your grandfather and how you would have questions for him and want to have a sit down conversation with him. Now that you're a little bit more older, more mature, you got stuff like that, and you're doing more stuff like that. So that's real. I like that. I like that. That's probably one of my favorite answers that I've received so far on this podcast. So people ask that question. I like that a lot. One more thing I have for you, bro, is like, where where did you like where would you see yourself? Like, would you ever write a book or like a memoir about what you're doing and stuff like that, or would you stay on like the social media content way with what you're doing, or would you do anything outside of that?
Yeah, you know what? I've been thinking about, how this whole thing ends, and what do I do with, this journey that I started.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the more I think about it, the more, again, I get into that tailspin. Like my mind likes to go, 1,000 different ways, and so I start thinking about, why I'm even doing this in the first place. And so I don't like to go down that rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it would be nice, to start a podcast at some point. I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
if I'll do that. I just, it doesn't feel natural for me right now. So I'm just gonna kind of let whatever happens. But I think it's cool, just at least the with the content that I've created. So long as those apps are alive, and 20 years from now, that it's something that somebody can look back on, especially my kids, and just basically be some kind of like video diary or video journal of like
Mm-hmm.
a year in my life and doing this, and just some of the messages that I've been able to share and some of the experiences that I've gone through, um, to just have that forever. And I think that in itself is super dope to me. But yeah, I mean, I don't think writing a book's in my cards. As cool as it would be, I just, it's not really something I see myself doing. But yeah, I've been exploring the podcast world a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. To answer your question, I'm not sure. I just, again, I'm not a person who likes to think that far ahead into the future, because
Mm-hmm.
I can easily start to tell myself things that aren't true, or talk myself out of things that I don't really want to be doing.
Right. That's really just, yeah. Cause you taking it day by day. Like, it's great to have interest and stuff like that. Just still taking it day by day and stuff like that. That's real. outside of the like you doing your content, the ice baths, motivation, talking about mental health and fitness and all that, what do you like doing outside of your content?
Well, I live up here in Canada, so it depends. It depends what time of year it is, because we've got,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a good, 4 months of summer of warm weather,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest is well, I mean, you've seen what it is. And so, yeah, it really depends what time of year that is. I like to golf a lot in summer. I'm golfing a lot these days.
Mm-hmm.
I played hockey a bunch growing up, and I'm just, uh, I'm not at a point in my life where I still enjoy playing that game. So I've kind of transitioned to playing hockey, and that's kind of a way to, um, an escape for me, is to go out on the golf course,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just, I mean, it's a challenging game in itself, and so I enjoy that part of it. I like going out, and doing that with friends, and competing against each other. So it's a way for me to still, scratch my competitive itch, that I had, growing up, that I don't really have now that I'm older.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, man, yeah, like I love, spending time with my kids. They're still young, and they still like being around me. I know that's going to change when they, start getting older, and getting their own friends, and things like that. So I'm enjoying that time with them now where they're young.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty simple, man. I don't get into a whole lot. And so yeah, I would say those two things kind of keep me busy most of the year.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty dope, bro. I like that. It's always good to have some other stuff that you like outside of your work and what you're doing on media. Cause I mean everybody's their own person outside of what most people see. Outside of the ice baths, cause you got a family. You was talking about you hockey, golfing, spend time with your kids, stuff like that. That's all really dope, and that's really good. It's really good to have that balance. Once again, man, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, bro. That's all I have for you. That's a wrap. I just want to thank you once again so much for coming on this podcast and taking time out your day. A really dope conversation I had with you, bro. And keep doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing, bro. You're motivating millions of people, including me and a lot of other people as well. Maybe even somebody listening to this podcast right now, people that was watching your videos today and looking at your journey and stuff like that. You come a long way. Keep going. I'm rooting for you, bro. You're doing great, bro.
Appreciate you, man. It means the world to me. And again, I appreciate the invite to come on and share my story a little bit, and be with you for this time. So I appreciate you. Thank you so
Most
much.
definitely. Much love. Thank you, bro. Of course. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Unfazed Podcast with Jordan Ferrone. Thank you so much once again coming on. Stay tuned. You want to shout out your TikTok and Instagram real quick so they can check out your content if they haven't already.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you could follow me on TikTok. It's at Jordan Makes Videos, and all my links are kind of in my profile there.
All right, cool. See ya for sure. Give him a follow. Check out his content. Y'all don't want to miss out. Trust me, it's something different. Y'all don't sleep. It's something different. Something I've been enjoying. Something I really been motivated and inspired by. And something that I'm continuing to be motivated and inspired by. So keep doing what you're doing, bro. Thank y'all so much for listening to the Unfazed Podcast. Make sure to tune in for more episodes. I got a lot of big things coming soon within this summer, within the upcoming months. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Love y'all. See y'all in the next episode.